everyone. Welcome to the Art Workshop. My name is Christopher Epling. Thank you so much for tuning in today. This is a very special show. They're very rarely that we have shows that we can actually showcase artist talent, and today's one of those, and I'm really excited about it for a lot of different reasons. Pike TV, of course, is here to support our community and our region and talk about the talents that are here and try to educate those who are interested in art on different techniques, different mediums they can use. Of course, that's what we've been doing since the beginning. In today's little workshop, though, we have something very special. As I said, I teach a class at UPike, which is an introductory course on creating comics. Now, you may think, well, what's the point of that? Well, comics, or creating comics, has a huge beneficial part of it dealing with storyboarding, creation, taking a story concept from an initial idea, fleshing the story out, creating a script, building a storyboard, doing preliminary drawings, then final drawings. It's a huge process. And I had some very talented students in this last class that I taught here this semester, and one of those students is here with us today. I'm very excited to introduce this artist to you. She's super talented. She's here and from locally here her whole life. And she's currently attending UPike right now, where she's majoring in film and media arts and then a minor in art. We'll be looking at her book today, and we're going to be talking about some of the characters in her book, her story, her influences, and then I'm going to try my best as she teaches me how to draw one of those characters to follow along with her. So thank you so much for tuning in. I know you're going to love this show today. And if you can, show your support for this young artist by reaching out to us also on Pike TV, on our Facebook page. Leave comments, share, and get the word out about the talents here in our region. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump in and let me introduce to you today Nancy Brown. All right, so welcome. I'm so excited about today's episode. You know, when you teach a class, often you see students who excel, and it just drives you to just want to continue doing what you're doing in terms of what you're presenting in the classroom. And the student that I saw this semester who blew me away from day one with their art, when we started producing art, is Nancy Brown. And she's here today, and I'm so excited. Thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm Nancy Brown. I've been drawing for pretty much my entire life, but I started getting serious about 10, 11 years ago.
So you're a student at UPike?
Yeah.
And your comics, and when you created this comic, I noticed that your style of art was heavily, you're influenced a lot with the anime manga style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For viewers at home, tell us a little bit about kind of your inspiration, stuff that you like to look at in terms of other art that you brought into your art.
So there's a lot of talented Japanese manga artists out there. One that sticks out particularly in my mind is Yoshiro Togashi. He is a creator of a series called Hunter x Hunter. He has definitely influenced my art style a whole lot. But otherwise, I don't really take a lot of inspiration from anime and manga. I take it more from video games that I like.
Cool. Okay.
Specifically, the concept art for Metal Gear Solid and The Legend of Zelda really sticks out in my mind. It inspires me a lot.
Oh yeah, Legend of Zelda is some great art in that, franchise. So today we're going to be drawing one of your characters. Mm-hmm. Okay. Before we do that though, let's show everyone at home what I got to see and the privilege of seeing in terms of your comic you created. So you want to go ahead and pull that over and let's look at it for a second? So tell us a little bit about it. Start with the title and then just, kind of go from there and let us know about your book.
Okay, so this is The Forgotten Knight. It's about the main character, Francis. As you can tell, there's a lot of Zelda inspiration, the sword, the clothes, and stuff like that, and the ears, of course. It follows the backstory of Francis as he grows and changes as a person. It starts out more focusing on his father because he and his father have a very high bond, and he really influences Francis as a person. Here you see, his father unfortunately dies in a tragic fire. So after that happens, they retreat to the desert, a safe spot for them to stay, because his father was part of the royal guard and was really high up, so it was like an assassination. And so he already had a spot planned just in case that happened. And here the last page leaves you off kind of on a cliffhanger for you to expect more, talking about how their mother saw the person who killed their father and stuff like that.
It's very well done. And the story is the foundation, I think, to series of books you could go on to create, and that's what I love about it. That you had not only you're talented when it comes to art, but you also had a very, very compelling story. The beginnings of this story. Tell me a little bit about, in terms of your education now, because you're a minor in art and a major in FMA, right? So what classes have you taken that, or any professors that's helped, that since you've been here, that has influenced you at all in terms of classes?
Andrew Reed is one of the most helpful professors I've ever met. He is so encouraging and very, very supportive. Petra, she's an art professor here. She's my advisor. So is Andrew. But Petra she's just amazing. The way that she always encourages people, and I love it. As an artist, you really need a lot of encouragement from people, because oftentimes there's a little voice in your head saying very terrible things about your art.
Yeah.
So it's always nice to have like a very supportive outside person who's just always pushing you along. He helped me a lot too.
Oh, geez. I was getting ready to say, what about Chris Epling?
No, really. Guy, you might know him, Chris Epling. Yeah, he kind of helped me a lot through the process, and he really inspired me because I've always like toyed with the idea of wanting to do a comic because, growing up on the internet, web comics are like a huge thing, but I've just never really had I didn't know how to start or how to do anything. And, his class that I took really helped me figure out like layouts and things, and has taught me a lot of little foundational things. It'll help me a lot, I think.
Well, thank you. I was just kidding, but thank you.
No, it's true.
But thank you. So we're using tablets, obviously, today. We're going to be using a program called Procreate. In this, do you prefer digital art over traditional?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can do traditional art. That's what I grew up doing. But ever since I was 13 years old and I got my hands on a tablet, a drawing tablet, I've never been able to go back. Doing art digitally is so much more accessible, and I'm not gonna say easier because absolutely not. You still have to have the things, but accessibility and you have a wider range of tools and things. Yeah, it's definitely my preferred option.
And you grew up though in your household. You told me, I think if I remember correctly, your mother was an artist too.
Yes, my mom. She was a painter, and she always tried to get me to do little painting stuff with her. And I always leaned more towards drawing cartoons, and she was more of a realistic person.
Yeah.
It's just really funny to see how artists have two different styles and things. It's really, really nice growing up with one.
That's great, though, that you were around art, and those traditional mediums, though, you got to experience those, so hey, this is good and stuff. But digital is really where you kind of navigated, right?
Oh yeah.
And with Procreate, you can do a lot, can't you? 'Cause, you can take many different layers and create backgrounds and create different usage of color that you can't really do with traditional mediums. So today, though, you're going to show me how to draw. Which character did you choose?
Francis. He's the main character.
So
I feel like he'd be the easiest.
Okay, so let's jump into it. If you're ready, you okay?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. All right, so this is obviously the program here, and it's touch sensitive, right? Okay. So I'm just going to follow your lead, Nancy.
All right.
Try to.
So I'm going to start off with a guideline. See,
Okay.
I don't have the best sort of guidelines because I've just.
Now for guidelines, you're talking about you're getting the framework of there, the guidelines for the head and stuff. So what do you have, just a circle for the head?
Yeah.
And we talk about this on the show a whole lot with doing what we call the circle method. That's where we'll just create the out like a stick figure almost, right? Of the character. All right, so we've got torso. Okay. All right. Here we go. Really neat thing about the program is touch sensitive too. So when you have the amount of pressure you put down really impacts the line variation and stuff. I'm already kind of falling behind here. I'm gonna run out of room.
It's okay.
You got the arm on the waist here?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you have, of course, and the cool thing too is if you draw too far down your paper, you can move it. So
yeah. One of the magical wonders of digital art is the undo button as well.
I really appreciate the undo button a lot. I use it constantly. Man, you just knocked that out in no time.
Yeah, I'm just used to it.
Yeah, I'm down to the knees, I think. I'm getting the knees. Okay. All right. So we have the general. All right, lay out.
Okay. So Francis, he's more of a very closed off sort of character, so that's why I gave him this sort of the foundation of the pose. He's sort of like in a more aggressive sort of like I don't really care stance. And throughout the story, you see him grow and change. Of course, he's just an edgy teenager for the most part. But so one of the main things that helped me come up with Francis' design is learning about like shape theory when it comes to characters and things.
Oh, cool. Tell me about this. Okay, what is
So
shape theory?
shape theory is like certain things are associated with certain like shapes and stuff are associated with certain thoughts and feelings. Triangles are seen more so in villains and unstable characters. Because you have the triangle, like it has the base, like and then the sharp point. You have to get to the sharp point to get to the solid base.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. And like squares are seen more of like stable characters because they're on like all the fours and things. And round characters are seen as more like bubbly and soft. For Francis, even he has a lot of triangles in his design. Even though he's the main character and he's not the villain. This is more to symbolize that he's kind of like rude and kind of hard to talk to.
Yeah.
And I kind of turn it on its head and I use it like in a way that you wouldn't expect, right? Like he's the main character, but you see the triangles and you're like, oh, danger, caution, things like that. So yeah, I like to take conventions and like try to use them in a different way.
Sure.
To subvert expectations and things.
That's really cool. And that's a subconscious thing that a reader is looking at and they're seeing a character. They don't really think about, oh, that's a triangle. That's kind of evil. But it's a subconscious thing, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I can think of tons of villains already just off the top of my head that has that very sharp point to the chin. Mm-hmm. Because if you flip the triangle upside down, then you have the chin, of course, wide head at the top. I'm drawing the ears now. I think I may have went too far out on mine, but I'm trying here. And so we do this a lot in the workshop too, where we draw these the crosshairs on the face, right? Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about layout for faces and the use of these tools for that?
So one of the most important things that I've learned as an artist is like you have to have, well, you don't have to, but like these guidelines really help you a lot because your eyes are a certain distance apart from your nose and from your forehead and stuff like that. Having the center line shows you the center of the face, and that's where the chin should be. Having the line somewhere that's where the eyes need to be. So that stuff is really important to use for your art. It's more so of like, rather than, for me anyway, because I've been doing this for so long, it's all sort of just like natural to me. Mm-hmm. I have a tendency to not follow the guideline whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So it's more so it's just I need that starting spot or else I can't start the drawing.
But these elements in the face, like already I can tell where you're done where you have the widow's peak here in the hair, right? Mm-hmm. That comes down. That center. So you need these crosshairs not only for the eyes, face, but you have all these other elements going on, right?
Yeah.
And when you have a character that has really distinct features, such as yours, where you have the ears are important to get right, and they have to be at the same location on the face each time you see the character, unless the perspective's off, of course. But,
yeah.
So these planning elements are super important, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now you have these two lines that come out to form the hair, right?
Yes, those are like his bangs.
So it'll come up above the ear like this? Mm-hmm. And then over here like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
They like flip out. It's really cool.
And then it comes up, right?
Yeah.
To the top of the head.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The top of the head is more square-ish.
Okay.
One thing I really struggled with coming up with this design is trying to like, whenever you're following shape theory, of course, not everything, you don't have to make everything like, perfect. Like not everything has to be a triangle. You can use other shapes as well. Yeah. It's just important to see like the key features following those shapes. Okay. So I wanted to also just kind of show off that, you know, even though he's kind of hard and you don't really want to talk to him because he's a little off. There's parts of him is like, oh, I kind of get it. Like he just, I could talk to him. He's a nice guy. Just you have to get through everything else first.
And that's really useful too, like with with the character changing over time in a story, because a character has to change over time if you have a very long story, right?
Yeah.
That helps too to see these changes like at first, right? So you kind of like you said, you misleading the expectation of the reader a little bit by saying, hey, these elements kind of look like he might be a rough dude, not maybe the main protagonist, but give him time, right?
Yeah.
Now, after school, would you have any intentions for after school?
So as of right now, me and my friends are trying to plan a video game.
Cool. Very cool.
Based on things like Harvest Moon and Stardew Valley.
Okay.
Like a farming simulator.
Cool.
And I also want to put out more of my comic, and I want to actually make it into a published sort of thing. But that's way down the road.
Well, I think you seriously have the talent to do, either that, both of those things if you wanted. There's no doubt in that. Because you're showing things at your age, and you don't mind me asking, but how old are you?
I'm 21.
Okay, you're 21, and the things that I'm seeing you have control of in terms of techniques are things that I just really started feeling comfortable with within the past 10 years, and I'm in my early 40s. So, I mean, it's amazing to see young artists to have that kind of, harness of these techniques that you do. And I'm not just, it's obvious. I mean, if anyone looks at your art and looks at your work, it's obvious that you're a talented artist. Mm-hmm. But to have also control and understanding of things like you said, like shape theory and form and object, taking an object to a form or back, vice versa. That's some technical stuff, and you have a very good background of it. And I think that says a lot too about both your, being around art at an early age and also your teachers and then your own research. So when you go online to look up, let me ask this first, do you ever go online to look up like how to draw this or how to draw that? Because
yes.
Okay.
There are one of the main good things about the internet is it is very good for young artists because there are so many resources out there for you to be able to find like how to draw literally anything. YouTube has been like one of the most helpful things to me. I just type in how to draw this, and then I can get like a million different videos trying to walk me through the process of it. Mm-hmm. It also has taught me how to look at references and actually use them. See, one thing that I did a lot when I was younger is I would just trace over references because I think tracing is good for a learning
I do too.
process.
Yeah, I do too.
But as you grow as an artist, you need to learn how to actually use these references rather than trace over them.
Take those training wheels off.
Yeah. So that's another good thing that it's taught me.
One of the things I have most difficulty with are the eyes when it comes to this style of art. And this isn't really, I kind of probably misclassified your style because I said anime or manga, but it's not really that. It's more, like you said though, it's more of this video game illustration style, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely get because when I first started out, I absolutely had the manga and the anime like style. That's what I was absolutely going for. But as I grew as an artist, I kind of wanted to move away from like the cutesy stuff that you would see,
right?
And kind of just do more serious stuff. Yeah. So I would look at video games like The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess in particular is it's one of the more darker Zelda games, and that one really helped me like fix my art to be, because it still has this sort of like cartoony style, but it's in a way that's like not realistic, but it's like it does it in a more like mature way. Okay,
I see. So it's not like a lot of times folks when they think of like cartoon art, they think of this like really silly gag-like type thing where it's just jokes constantly. And, there's a lot of different styles out there. Again, could you zoom in on the face one more time for me, just a little bit? So one great thing about this program is you're able to do that, right? You're able to go back and forth, zoom in, zoom out. Now, my character looks nothing like yours, but I'm gonna I'm gonna try here.
Honestly, he needs to have his hair taken down a little bit.
So the hair goes behind the ear a little bit, like you're here. And I think what we could do too is, if you're okay with it, is at the very end, let's ink this, digitally ink it, you know, and show folks how to use these layers a little bit, maybe. Because the Procreate, the program, and of course we don't endorse any one specific platform over another, you know, here on the workshop. Like we don't have advertising money from someone, but Procreate is one of the many tools that you can have out there for drawing digitally, and I like Procreate because it has features that are similar to Photoshop or Anime Clip Studio, where you have layers. And we've talked about this before. So layers meaning that when I turn this layer off, you can still see the blue, right? And now a little bit later, what I'll do, or what we'll do, what I'm guessing we'll do, is we will turn off that main bottom layer, and then take this top layer again and ink over it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you can turn the opacity down on these layers so that, you know, you can see through them. Easy to do that with. So let me see. My character looks nothing like yours. I has really big ears. One thing that I noticed with your book too is that you have different ear shapes for. Can you talk a little bit about the ear shapes of those characters in your story, where you have those three different ones? One the ear shapes are down, middle, and up. You remember that?
So actually I can.
Yes, please do while I catch up. you really are knocking it out.
So for I can't
You're fine.
see it. Okay. So my characters, I try to show a little bit about themselves in this sort of silhouette type of way, because there's not much information about them at this point in time that you get in the story.
Right.
You get like their titles and that's it. So I tried to show a little bit of their personalities in this way. So the loving character, as you can see, his ears are turned downwards. This is sort of to signify that he's kind of like a laid back, sort of like a dopey kind of guy. And for the one that's the sacrifice, his ears are pointed upwards. This is because he's a kind of a high-strung sort of person. He's very anxious, always on alert, and stuff like that. So, like, his ears are always pointed towards the danger, you know?
And I can see your silhouettes here really help to show that. Up, middle, down, and normal.
Yeah, and for the legendary character, his ears are the ones that are sort of like the baseline there in the center, because he's kind of the core of everything. He kind of holds everything together.
Please tell me that your sword design was at least a little bit influenced by Thundercats.
I've never seen Thundercats.
Okay, well, it's so cool that it reminds me of that, but that shows how old I am. You're talking about Zelda games, and I'm like, remember JoJo? Yeah. The last Zelda game I played, to tell you how old I am, it was Ocarina of Time.
Oh, yeah, really? That was the first Zelda game I played.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, that's really neat how you've used these design elements. It's huge. It's a big thing, and we talked about that in class about design elements in comics and usage of different tools that you have available. And you really have a really good harness on what you're wanting to do, and I'm really impressed by you. I really am. Okay, so you're down on the chest now, right?
Yeah.
So we're using this torso model that we have, and now what are we doing now? Just filling out the rest of the chest and body and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, my eyes are totally different than yours, but it'll be okay. Whatever mine comes out to look like, it's okay. I'm going to follow along. Little dashes right here.
All Franceses are good Franceses.
All
so
Franceses are good, right? All right, I'm going to try to nail the chest here with you. So you've got this is a collar, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All righty. There we go.
He has sort of a tunic on top of like a collared shirt underneath.
Okay. All right, that's what that is. Goes down. There we go. So he's obviously he's an elf.
Yeah.
Okay, so in your story, now we talked about this in the class. You had this kind of ideas for these characters already, based off of you were inspired by, and you talked about the podcast you listened to. You want to mention that a little bit?
Yeah. So there's this podcast called The Adventure Zone that I really, really enjoy. It is based off of they play in the game Dungeons and Dragons. There are a lot of mystical sort of creatures in that. One of the main characters is an elf, and the main thing that I really enjoyed about the Adventure Zone is like these characters, they do not have, where it's a podcast, you don't see them, you hear them rather. So like you get to like make up your own sort of like designs and stuff for these characters, and the creators love them like no matter what you do. That's one of my favorite things about being an artist is being able to visualize what I see in my head. Like whenever I read a book and I'm like, oh, I can draw that. And then I do. So yeah, the Adventure Zone kind of helped me a lot in sort of like a writing sort of way, more so than in a design sort of way.
Right.
The dungeon master of that, Griffin McElroy, he has a very like distinct way of like describing things, and whenever he has like his sort of like monologue moments where he's talking about like certain things, that sort of like influenced like the main beginning of my story, where it's like going into sort of like the lore of the world.
Right. Well, I really enjoy your characters a lot. I really enjoyed your characters a lot, and I look forward to seeing more from you. That's why I think you'd work so well as an illustrator, because you visualize, like you said, anytime you read something, you're visualizing it, right?
Yeah.
Everyone does that to a certain degree, but artists do it. We take it a step further in our heads because we're thinking not only, well, what would that look like on paper or physically, and then we're starting in our heads to also break it down and actually, I know I do this, and I imagine you do, draw it in our minds. Like, first I would do this and this, but yeah. Now we're moving down to, so this arm here has a sleeve all the way to the wrist, right?
Yes.
This arm here.
So this right here, as you can see, he has sort of like a little armband thing.
The armband.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what that is.
Yeah, and then the sleeves are kind of like bunched up underneath it.
Oh, okay. There's got that now. And one of the things that I have a big problem with when I'm drawing characters with their arms bent is that if I imagine him extending this elbow, right, would that arm be the same length as that arm?
Oh my God, yeah, me too. like arm anatomy is very, very hard for me to like get down. I'm still working on that.
And hand.
Yes.
Hand's hard for me. Hand's really hard.
I was working on an assignment for my basic drawing class last night, and I was doing a self-portrait, and trying to draw like my own hands was like the hardest thing I've ever had to do.
You're like looking at your hands.
Yeah,
like,
I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this.
Well, I do the same thing a lot when I'm drawing characters. Looking at my own self quite a bit. And one of the hardest things that I've found is that when you're drawing a character, doing something with your right hand, and you're having to hold your hand out and then draw it. Oh my God, right?
yeah.
Because I'm right-handed. If I was left-handed, then it would be easy. But But yeah, that's why a lot of my characters, if you look at them, have like they both have left-handed thumbs. That I noticed later on. I'm like, well, okay, that's there now forever. But
yeah, that's one of the main good things about the internet is like you have like an endless like sort of like resource of like references and things.
Yeah.
But it can be hard to find like a very specific thing that you want.
It's hard. Yeah.
So you'll have to use yourself, and you're like, oh gosh, I can't I can't do this.
Now, what you can do with Procreate, which you mentioned tracing early on, while you're sketching that out, I'm going to catch up with you. I want to show something real fast to the viewers. So you have the ability to, let's say, insert a photo, right? So if I inserted, let's say, this photo of this girl here who has allergies and she's sniffling, right? I can pull that into Procreate, create a new layer, and then literally trace over, that art. And you could create art that way easily, and you could, if you want to pass it off as being something you did originally, that's up to you. But I wouldn't do it. But, but Procreate has so many different features like this where you can go in and you can learn how to draw by trial and error, because you're not bunching up paper and throwing it away. You don't have a light box you have to use to keep drawing on. It's all compacted into the screen, right? And, you mentioned you have this too. There's an actual film you can put on your screen that has a texture or feel of paper.
Yeah, that's what I have on my screen right now. It, like, whenever you're drawing on the tablet, there's like a sort of like traction that like stops your pencil from going the way that you want it to, like as fast as you want it to.
Like
fiber. And it kind of annoys me a little bit, like whenever you're drawing on like the actual glass. So they've made like screen protectors that you can put on your screen to emulate the feeling of paper, and like I literally cannot go back to drawing like a normal like on an iPad screen anymore because it's just, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really important the day I found that too. I was like, wow, this is cool. This works. Because it does, you're as close as this is a drawing on paper, you're just not. It's not.
Yeah.
So the more that you can use to kind of stimulate that feel, which is weird that we try so hard to get the digital to just feel like paper. Why don't I just use paper? But all those things that we've been talking about that you can do on here, easily to delete, redo, undo, easily to use, your comps. You can pull in a photo to reference, and you can use layers to draw on top of something and keep refining it. And then we're not even talking about color at all. We're just talking about drawing right now. There's a lot of tools for these, and this is just one of many. Like I've said, you can use Photoshop, the mobile app for that, or Clip Studio or Manga Studio, I think it's called now. There's a lot of options out there, right?
Mm-hmm. You don't even have to just do it on an iPad. You can get a drawing tablet and use it on a computer.
What are they? The bamboo tablets? Is that what you're talking about? Or?
Yeah, there's a lot of options, but Wacom and Huion have a lot of good options for people. You don't have to get like a screen tablet. You can just get like a normal tablet because screen tablets are expensive.
They are very expensive.
Those are the industry standard.
Yeah. Those big Cintiq.
Yeah.
Mills.
So there's plenty of options on the computer as well. There's a lot of free options like Fire Alpaca and stuff like that.
Cool.
Procreate costs like $10, I think.
One-time fee.
Yeah, just once. Whereas with Photoshop, you have to.
It's monthly, right?
Yeah.
It used to be like software that you could get. This, you can install it. You got a CD. Now though, it's all in the cloud, right?
Mhm. Yeah. But there's plenty of options out there. Most like free drawing programs now have like layers and stuff. So you can still get that authentic drawing experience even if you don't want to drop $10 on something like that.
Yeah.
Although I highly do recommend it.
Me too. I do. I recommend it. I like how you put it. You have the textures in his tunic and things. Mm-hmm. And what is the other hand going to be holding?
Just going to be off to
his
side.
Just off to the side?
Yeah.
Okay. Mine's sort of hanging off the body a little bit too much, but I got the legs coming down. So when we get to the point where we ink this, I think that we could start turning off these layers. I think folks will really start to get the benefits of this if they haven't already. Hopefully they have. This hand is I'm gonna do something a little different here. Maybe don't know what yet, but aha! There it was having sort of maybe with his hand like this or something. I went a little too far off the body, as you can see.
That's really good though.
No, it's just. I'm the same way. I'm all artists are similar where we come to this point where we just look at our own work and we're like, I hate it. Every artist does that, and I've been trying to do this now for a while, and I still every time I draw something, I'm like, oh boy, okay. But I'll try to get the legs right too. Let's see. There we go.
One final thing about Francis is he has like a braid coming down his back too, so.
Oh yeah, that's right, yeah. So we're going to show that a little bit to the side?
Yeah,
okay.
Just a little bit.
All right, cool. All right, are you ready to ink it? Almost? Okay. I need a little bit more. I've got him wearing some tights, I think. I'm going to fix that a little bit. There we go.
Yeah, he kind of wears some sort of like baggy clothes because he lives in the desert and he doesn't want like the tight sort of like clothes on him. So he's like, okay, I'll just wear something baggy. But he's got to maintain that medieval aesthetic I got going on. So I got him in some layers.
And that's another thing you just mentioned. Nailed it. Another thing that we've talked about on the show here before and of course in class. Character development, right? Mm-hmm. So when you're drawing and you're designing a character, you're thinking about, or should be thinking about, if you're the creator of it, especially if you wrote the story too, all these different things that may not pop to mind to someone that's just want to draw something. So you're thinking about this character's, decisions for clothing even in their environment, right? Mm-hmm. So there's depth to that. The more depth you can add to building a character, I think the more invested you get in it. Mm-hmm. And then it comes to life almost before you draw it.
I forgot his moles. He has 3 moles on his cheeks on each side.
Let's not forget the moles. Okay.
His defining feature.
Yes. Let me pull this layer back up here. So there's 3 moles, right?
Yep.
1,
under each eye.
2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Kind of like in little triangle shapes.
So now, what I'm going to do normally, I turn the opacity down. So when the opacity, you can see, it just makes it lighter, right?
Yeah.
Then I'm adding a layer, and then I'm going to use the ink brush, which with this program, the brushes for inking, I think are just incredible. I love them.
One good thing about, well, you can do this with about any program, but for Procreate especially, I have a bunch of custom brushes that I've downloaded off the internet.
Really?
Yeah. There's all sorts of like databases and places where you can find like brushes that artists have made.
Yeah.
And that's where I found a bunch of my favorites. You can find them off of the Procreate website, or a lot of people just post their stuff on Twitter and stuff like that.
I had no idea.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I guess I'm thinking where it's a tablet, I can't really, download anything to use.
Yeah.
But you can.
Yeah.
You can do that. Oh my goodness, that just changed my world. I'm gonna have to go look for those now immediately after leaving here.
The brush I'm using right now is a one I've got off online.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to do that now because I absolutely love inking. That's something that I enjoy on paper too, not just digital, but because that's your payoff, I think, of all that work of designing it.
For me, it's coloring.
You like coloring?
Yes.
Well, it shows. Your coloring work is amazing. It really is. So in the class, we only had 8 weeks to produce a comic, and the next time we offer this, and if you're interested in taking it, I will be teaching it again in the fall. So, and also teaching a children's book illustration course. I'm looking forward to a lot. But anyway, in the class though, we only had 8 weeks to do this, so you really had to come in, guns and blazing. You had to kind of really go at it. It's probably a terrible analogy, but you had to go into it ready. You couldn't take any breaks in the class to do whatever. And from the very beginning, though, Nancy has this idea already in mind. She's got these full fleshed out characters ready, and then I saw her art. And I've been in classes before where students have had very good ideas, and it's not about necessarily your ability to draw in that class. It's more about your ability to use images and words together to tell a story. But whenever you have a student who is also very capable of drawing at an illustrator level, a professional illustrator level, it makes it more enjoyable, teaching it. And here she came with this idea, and then her art came, and I was just like, this is incredible. It really is. I'm not going to get his bangs right.
That's okay. A lot of people tell me whenever they try to draw and they just can't get his hair right.
No, I'm not going to be able to. So the hair kind of curves into the body, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this is where you're also adding more detail, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It curves in. I'm just going to draw it curving in on each side first, and then add the detail.
Yeah. As he gets older, I've made a bunch of like future designs because the series takes place about over a course of about 7 years. Mm-hmm. Not even starting from the backstory. So there's like a 9-year time skip in the first part of it, but starting from like that part onwards, there's like a 7-year time skip.
Wow.
So like not a time skip, but whatever. So I've made a lot of designs for him as he grows and changes. And as his character like develops and stuff, I kind of show it like with his hair. Mm-hmm. His hair is very like it goes inward now, like his hair strands and stuff, and like his hair kind of like flips into him. Mm-hmm. That's because he's a very like closed off person. He's sort of like he wants to keep to himself.
I see.
And his hair as the series goes on, I keep it long, and it kind of like flips more and more outward and stuff.
That's so interesting. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and how far have you gotten with the story? I mean, have you...
Oh wow, not very far at all.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Art is like my main thing,
Yeah.
and I'm sort of like writing is like sort of like a secondary thing to me.
Yeah.
So like I have like bits and pieces that I want to happen,
Right.
but I don't have the entire thing,
Right. Well, you've got the foundation.
Yeah.
So that's all you need. And you understand your characters.
Mm-hmm.
That's really good. Okay, now I'm going to try to draw the hair too. So the hair comes out, and then out. All right, there we go. And then it comes in, down, back in. Have you ever tried to draw him, though, on traditional paper?
Oh, yeah. I have sketchbooks and sketchbooks full of him.
Yeah. Have you done any, like, paintings of the characters or anything yet?
No, I've not painted him yet. I did draw him for a drawing assignment once, but I've not really painted him before.
I had one student. It was a senior in high school, but it was a funny story. So I told this student, I said, you know, they had an idea for a story and a couple of characters fleshed out, and I said, well, anytime you get an assignment in your class, and I went to their school to teach, is why I was there, and I said to the student, anytime you get an assignment in class where the teacher says you can use whatever reference you want for this, but you got to use this medium, right? I said, anytime you have something like that going on, I said, draw one of your characters, right?
Yeah.
Well, the teacher told me later on, they're like, I cannot believe, you know, this student, I'm going to kill you because now every time this student draws something, it's this character.
That's what I would have done. He's like my default. That's what I go to.
Yeah. All right. Now the eyes. I'm so used to drawing these little dots for eyes is all. I get so nervous when I start to actually draw eyes that are supposed to look like eyes. There we go. So you're a sophomore?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is my 3rd semester here at UPike.
Very cool. Yeah. And you are, how far along are you into your art minor? Are you more further along with your
I'm more further along with my FMA major than I am my minor.
So you have some art classes that you're going to be able to pick up quite a bit then towards the end, right? So after you finish, you'll have your FMA done, or mostly finished, but then you can fill up the rest of your courses with art, right?
Yeah.
Well, that'll be good, right? I mean, both are great.
Yeah,
I'm just saying,
yeah.
you know, to get kind of more, you know, a little bit more art in there too. And I love how you're, you know, a lot of students don't do this. So if I had it to do over, I would have went and majored in FMA, art, one of those two, and then business as a minor. And the reason for that is, you know, if you do freelance work one day, you have to understand, you know, how to operate as a small business, you know? All right.
Yeah, my mom has pushed that down my throat.
Has she?
Yeah. And she really wants me to succeed with this stuff.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind. You absolutely have the talent. That's not a question. I don't think anybody watching this show today or whenever this airs, they're going to say the same thing. There's just no doubt about it. You definitely have the talent. And it's great to see talent from our region, you know, using what they have to make stuff with. And that's one of the things that I think, well, this is what I try to promote. One of the biggest things I try to promote, if I can get it out. We do not have enough voices in the publishing industry from Eastern Kentucky and Central Appalachia anymore. You know, the Wendellberries, they're gone. The Harry Coddles. I mean, where are they now, right? And this is definitely a market for that out there. I just wish that we'd have more voices, and maybe you're the next voice. You know,
I would like to be.
Well, you definitely could. There's no doubt about that. It's just getting those pieces together, figuring it out. It's the hard part. I think I'm following along fairly. Oh, you're adding all kinds of detail now. This is where you're really fleshing out the character, huh?
Yeah.
That's where all the details come in. All right, what we're going to do, we'll go ahead and knock out the rest of this. We're going to do a speed drawing, okay? So what's going to happen is viewers at home are going to see us as we finish the drawing, and then we're going to come back in and talk about it here in a little bit. Is that cool? All right. So I think that we've done it. We've done it, Nancy.
Yeah, we did. We got it.
I'm embarrassed, but also I'm a little bit. I'm impressed with myself because, like this style is outside my wheelhouse. But
You should be.
no, I'm happy with it. Yours looks incredible.
Thank you.
The character design is amazing. Like I said, you know, I'm really happy you came on the show today. And
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this.
no, thank you so much. Is there anything you'd like to say before we go?
Thank you for supporting me, and I'm really excited to do more for this show.
And let everyone know your support too for Nancy, because you know this is important. We're a community, and that's what this show is, and is what it serves, the community. So you know, I just hope everyone will let her know just how proud you are of her too, and you know, hopefully pretty soon we can have her back on, and maybe even a show where you run the show and come in and do some more work for everybody. So thank you so much for tuning in today. I appreciate you. And on behalf of Pike TV, until next time, I'm Christopher Epling. On behalf of Nancy Brown, keep drawing.